this computer. Here we go. All right. My name is Stuart Cantor with the Texas Track and Field Coaches Association, here with Will Grundy. All of you in Texas track and field and cross country know Will as the MileSplit webmaster. So Will, what is your background in track and field or cross country?
My background, so when I was younger, my dad loved track. He ran track in high school. So back in those days, it wasn't on or visible as much. So every time it would come on television, NBC, he would make us watch it. My brother, my sisters would be like, man, we hate this. Nobody wants to watch this. So I definitely didn't like running. I played baseball growing up competitively and basketball, which is what you do in Illinois. Everybody plays basketball. So I didn't grow past 5'7", 5'8". And we had like 6-footers in basketball, I think our guards were like 6'5", 6'6" in my high school. So, I had to pivot and do something different. So I started running, track and cross country. And that's kind of how everything started. It seemed like I was faster than everyone when I was younger. But as they started maturing and getting taller and stronger, that disparity kind of closed. And so I wasn't as fast as people anymore. So then I took in cross country. And I remember my first middle school meet in cross country, I got beat by 2 girls. Oh. And I was like, maybe this isn't for me either. But that's kind of what started and the 2 girls were good, by the way. It was only 2 miles. But I remember that vividly, and things just started changing, started training a little bit more. And that's kind of how I got started in the track and cross country. I qualified for the Illinois State meet my senior year in cross country and track 3 years in a row. Cool. Ran 800, 1600 meters, and the 4x4. So the 800 was my race. So I thought, running 154s kind of was pretty decent until you get to the state meet. So then I went to college, went to Grambling State University, and that's when I that's when I learned that I wasn't a half miler anymore. They had guys that could run 47 in the 400 that they couldn't make our 400 team, so they were the half milers. So then I kind of started going up in distance and started running like the 10Ks and cross country and stuff. So that's kind of how everything progressed for me through track and field and cross country.
And how did you get hooked up with MileSplit?
I got connected with that. So I was doing some volunteer coaching at Houston Westbury High School with Coach Blanks over there.
All right.
One of the longtime old school coaches over there.
Oh yeah.
And of course he knew he was great with the hurdlers, great with the sprinters and relays. And he had a couple distance guys, and I came in and we started talking. We started training them together. And so at the time we had a lot of 800 meter runners and 400 meter runners, but we started getting a couple of distance runners that came through our middle school feeder to us. And Coach Blank's like, hey, what do we have to do? And the kids started getting good. We started training them well. And then he started becoming national state ranked. And so we were looking at TX running, watching the rankings, seeing what people were saying, learning about everybody else in Texas. And then from there, I just started contributing. When MileSplit took over and started branching out through all the states, I just started taking photos. I started doing video. And then the guys that were over Texas started getting other positions. And I was a Houston guy. So that's kind of how I know everyone in Houston. I was a Houston metro area person. So then when one of the guys who was from New York was over at TXMileSplit, he got a marketing position. Then the next guy who was also from New York, he ended up getting another position. They were like, hey, Will, you've been doing this, Texas. So that's kind of how I got in there and kind of started taking over.
Gotcha. So as the Texas MileSplit webmaster, what are your jobs? What's your role?
So my role is to continue coverage, making sure that we're visible. We're at meets where we're getting content, video, photo, where we're getting some articles, where we're keeping the rankings going. But specifically what I've been in charge of is growing MileSplit. So we were always in the Houston when we started, we were in the Houston area, we were in the Dallas area. They were at the big meets, the Texas relays and stuff like that. So one of my tasks was to grow it. Since I took over, we have a presence now in El Paso. It's getting bigger. We can do better with it there in El Paso. San Antonio, we're there now. We're into the South Texas, south of San Antonio, and we need to grow that. We need to do better there as well. And just other areas outside of the metropolitan areas like Houston and Dallas. We need to get into the smaller areas, SBC, TAPS, and homeschool, which is getting bigger nowadays. So we have to keep up with all that. So my job now is to get contributors, people that want to contribute any way they can, whether it be writing or doing a video, photos and stuff like that, to make sure that our kids in Texas are getting the coverage and getting better coverage year after year.
Fair enough. Now, this year, obviously incredibly unique, because come spring break, we're all worried about it, and all of a sudden, the entire track season came to a halt. COVID-19 put everything, stopped everything. How did you, or how have you, in conjunction with the parent company, been able to generate content for basically 2.5 months, and it'll be another month really so before we even start seriously talking about cross-country season?
Man, Stuart, like you said, it was right when spring break happened that all this came to an end. And that's kind of when, in my opinion, that's when track season starts. You have the first couple weeks, maybe the last 2 weekends of February, maybe now 3, and then the first week or 2 of March. But when spring break happens, that's when the weather's getting warm. You have sometime 2-a-day practices, and you're getting to the major meets. So that was like at a catchy part of the season. We had a couple weeks where we had content as far as rankings from the results and kind of stuff you could write up about what happened at this meet and this meet, but you knew the meat and potatoes was coming up.
Right.
So the thing was, we just took what we had and kind of rolled with it, try to use it as much as we can so we could show this kid in this city was doing this, or in this event, this is where they were running well in Texas. You had like Victor Zuniga, he had ran 150 and 410. 152 and 410. That's fast.
Right, out of San Antonio.
Yeah. Some of the kids in El Paso, they were running like 920s and 152s and 153s. That's fast. So we were trying to utilize that. You had some kids like, I'll say Bailey Goggins, she hadn't even come outdoors yet.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things you were waiting for. Chachi in San Antonio, she was rolling really fast. So, and some of the Houston girls, we were looking for some of these things to come to a point, and it just didn't have that opportunity, not just for us content-wise, but for the athletes. So I felt like our responsibility was to kind of show what could have happened throughout the season. What kind of crazy things were the DeSoto girls going to do? They were going to do some crazy things. They broke the national record twice last year, and they may have been even faster this year. You had the girls in the hurdles, you had their sprinters. So what were they going to do? What we're going to see, who was going to take over after Carter Cheeseman and Taps? You had some girls, some sprinters over there at St. Savio.
Oh, yeah, they got 2 of them.
Yeah, I think they got 2 monsters, but I think they have the full team over there.
They
have St. Agnes, and then the Dallas Earthling girls. They weren't going to let just take a couple lumps and let that be it. They want to get back their piece. So and then SBC, you just had a lot of storylines that could have come across. Raiden Morris, we didn't get to see him and Gracie run. So we wanted to tell a couple of stories that were going to happen. And London Colbert, she still had an opportunity to win the 16 and the 3200 meters 4 years in a row. That would have been outstanding. So
no
just
doubt.
Things like that. And she's going to get a good challenge. But, the job was to kind of tell some of those stories, what we didn't get to see. And even kids who was going to come out of nowhere. You always get that every year. So just things like that, getting ideas from people. You had a lot of great ideas. just coaches from all over the state were hey, what about this? And parents even too. And that's kind of how we kept it going.
So let's talk about some of the kids, because you were just starting to mention, you mentioned Bailey Goggins, London, the Morris twins. What did you most miss, as we head in, or would have headed into the state meets, SPC, TAPS, or UIL? What athletes did you most miss seeing compete this year?
I hate to say this part, but all of them, literally all of them. I think the boys hurdles in UIL was going to be an event that was going to shock a lot of people. You had the young man over at Chisholm Trail. He had a very good indoor season. You had Wilmington at Fort Bend Elkins, and then you had state champions that were, still coming along, that we're going to see these new guys. So that was going to be a good event. The girls hurdles may have been the best year since 2015, where a lot of Texas girls were nationally ranked and close to breaking national records. We could have saw the DeSoto girls do that. You live in Wiley. There's a young lady at Wiley East that was pretty darn good in the hurdles too.
Destiny Jeter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was going to play out in front of us too. But there were just, it's Texas, man. There are a lot of things to do. You had some kids at Capel that were going to, you had Jackson in the 800, him and the state champion. They were going to go head to head again.
The freshman
like I said, yeah. Oh yeah. Then the vaults. The vaults are, every year in Texas, you think you have great vaulters and some graduate. Then you got a new kid coming.
Yeah. She's a freshman that went 13 early in the year.
Yeah. From Capel, and she's a hurdler too.
Yeah.
Which that's not surprising. Vaulters are just all around athletes. But yeah, there are a lot of storylines. We're going to miss a lot. Well, we missed a lot. TAPS was going to be a good show. And I think in all 6 classes, and SPC had a lot of good runners there too. And jumpers and vaulters.
So now, where is your focus? Are you preparing for cross country?
Mentally, I am. Still not ready to shut down on track. I'll look to see about bleeding some of the content that we had and what could have come out to put it in front of eyes and to acknowledge parents and coaches and programs and athletes. But right now, last week I put out an article and put on Twitter about seniors, or coaches or whatever. If anybody wants to write something for a senior to spotlight them on their career, and we'll publicize it. We'll put an article, we'll put it out there, because something we try to do every year, but these kids, they didn't get to have their favorite invitationals, or Texas Relays or Texas Southern Relays or whatever. They didn't have their district and area, regionals and state meets. So, but whether you would have won a state championship or not, or whether you just were looking for your district meet to be your last meet, I would like, if they want to write something, they could follow the template we put up in there, and we'll put it up on our site and on our social media.
Will you attend the NSAF meet as long as it actually happens, that they announced in South Dakota?
Personally, we'll have to see what contractually what we can do. And then, of course, we have MileSplit personnel in multiple states. We don't have one in South Dakota or North Dakota, but I think our Colorado guys will probably definitely be there. That's around the time I was kind of thinking about looking at taking a vacation, and was actually going to go up to Montana. Nice. So I don't know. I'll see if they need some support there, and I may just take the time to go there and get some track, which I haven't had in 2.5, 3 months. So there's a possibility I might be there.
All right, so let's sidetrack for a second. Why Montana?
Why Montana? I have a family member up there. And
all right.
I've never been to Montana.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I look forward to it. I will definitely have some bear spray. I don't plan on going anywhere where a bear would be at. I hope not, or a mountain lion or anything like that. But, I'm a city guy, so yeah, spiders are enough for me.
Fair enough. Uh, TXMileSplit, as you mentioned earlier, has made a lot of progress increasing the visibility outside of just the big cities of Houston and Dallas. Like you mentioned, making progress in El Paso, San Antonio, down into the valley. You've now made progress with the Cross Country Coaches Association. You look at the upcoming cross country schedule, and I would say right now, what's on your calendar, 80% is being registered through MileSplit. What else is MileSplit looking to do? What are some of the future plans that you're able to discuss with us to help MileSplit increase its visibility?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, yeah, we're expanding. We have expanded. Our reach is wider, and specifically talking about Texas, but uh, I want to continue to expand that. We want to continue to be full time or consistent in certain places, and I want to be able to have content and coverage for maybe 10 to 12 meets a weekend in Texas throughout the entire state. Um, right now, we're averaging maybe 6 to 10, but I would like to be 12 consistently. So, I mean, that involves in getting people out in the Abilene's and more Amarillo areas, and more in South Texas, and even more in San Antonio, and keep it consistent at the same time in Houston, Dallas, and stuff like that. We went to Texarkana for a track meet, and man, I mean, they have athletes out there,
Oh, yeah.
and even without being good or whatever, they love track and field and cross country. So we need to get out there as well, but continue to pump that up and do well. As far as the meets on our calendar, um, our meet registration is something that we're really putting money into to make it better, to make it improved and easier and quicker for coaches and meet directors to use. We're trying to get in good graces with a lot of time. We're trying to work with them to see what they're, get feedback from them. That's where we're really trying to push, and not doing it for the company, but doing it for the sport. We want to streamline things. The coverage is good, but improving the sport is also making it easier for coaches, making it easier for people who run meets. If they could register with us, and we're making it free, so they don't have to spend that time and that money. Then when we get the results, it's quicker, and that's for the timers. And then the back end, which is where we have the results and the rankings, that comes up faster,
Mm-hmm.
and the integrity of it is better if we have it from start to finish.
Right.
And trying to save time and trying to save money for programs. If you're spending 50 to $100 or more on a meet or a season, and if we can keep that money in your pocket, I think it improves the sport in that sense. Cross Country Coach Association, um, they they told us what they wanted to see, and we're trying to get that to them and work with them. And if that saves them money and saves a bunch of programs money, I think it's a win-win situation. We're hopefully we can get that going to the track season, to where we get a lot of track meets as well.
Mm-hmm.
Working with TTFCA would definitely be a good thing to do with that. Getting with anyone and any organization that puts their time and effort and money into promoting the sport and making it better. I think if we can tie into those and help them and them help us hear them to make the sport better, we'll do it. It's
Fair,
definitely worth sitting down and talking about it and figuring it out.
fair enough. Let's talk about making the sport better. You, Will Grundy, are now in charge of Texas high school track and field. You have been appointed the leader of Texas high school track and field. What are some changes you would make the sport better?
The first thing I would do is I think something that I've heard a lot of coaches and stuff talk about, but I've heard leaders from the UIL. I've heard leaders from SBC and TAPS talk. They want to know what we really want to do and change and move it. And I think that comes from a unified voice. When people want to talk to the UIL or TAPS or whatever about changes, we have so many different voices coming, and you're talking to this person, that person. If it came from one entity and was had everybody support, that's kind of what they're looking at. So I would like to unify the state of Texas. I know we have a lot of organizations, and there's certain reasons for that. If we could unify that and go to the UIL, go to TAPS, go to SBC, say this is what we voted on, and it has all of our support, I think that would help them say, okay, let's do this. But what I would like to see, and this is just me personally, and I know we have regionals and area, but I would like to see a state meet that has prelims and a finals at the UIL. They do, I think they kind of do that in TAPS if I remember, but they have 1 through 6. It's a 2-day meet.
Right.
And they're able to pull it off. Now I know it would be more athletes, but I think you have the stands full for 2 days, and you're watching one of the most exciting track and field meets in the nation, and you have everybody there watching. I would like to do that. I would like to see, my favorite race is the 4x8. I would like to see that.
There's about 39 or 40 states in our nation that run a 4x8.
Yeah, and from Illinois, that was one of the most exciting races. That's where I'm from, and that's what we ran. But it gives distance runners and distance programs and coaches a chance to get those kids to run more events.
Right.
You have I'm not going to count the 800. You have the 1600 and the 1300. So that's, in the UIL, that's 9 spots for all these, about 34,000 distance runners to fight for. And after they get past district, you eliminate a lot of them. So you can possibly have 4 more runners, or 5 or 6 for alternate, challenging to get to the state meet. Even if it's the DMR, I mean, that's fine as well.
And we'd need to go to a 3-day meet in order to be able to do that, because you got 6 classifications, both genders. You're adding a lot of time.
True.
And it used to be a 3-day meet.
Yeah, it did. Also, I mean, I would like to see more meets that maybe TAPS and SBC could run in, whether they want to run with UIL athletes or not. I would like to see all of them. I mean, because you're getting track and field seen at a larger level, rather than having smaller meets here. Let's have these divisions if you want it, but you have everybody there.
Right.
And you have athletes running, and the best athletes want to run against the best anyway, no matter what their league is. That's how it is in Texas. The best want to run against the best.
Sort of like they do it at Shana Relays.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Texas
Relays. They have that at both those relays. They have a couple of them in Houston area, but
right.
I would like to see it more where we have, it doesn't matter what uniform you're in or what school you go to, the best of the best is running. And even if it is just a certain classification, I want to watch them. I want to see them. And I want to see the UIL kids, and I want to see the best in TAPS. And I would like to see them go against each other. What else I would change is, I think that's about it.
Fair enough. Let's talk about you personally. So here comes a quick lightning round. So you can't take too much time to think.
Okay.
Favorite movie?
Remember the Titans.
Your favorite athlete?
Jackie Joyner Kersee.
Favorite vacation spot?
Puerto Rico.
Favorite musical artist?
John Coltrane.
Nice. Dream car?
Say that again?
Your dream car?
It will be a apple red Ferrari.
Wow. There you go. Your favorite comfort food?
Nachos.
Nachos. Well done, sir. All right. So we are early in June. Still got, basically 2 months until cross country. What are you looking forward to this cross country season?
Man, the smallest thing is going to make me happy, and that's just having one. I want to make sure that the world is a better place for a lot of reasons, and definitely through this COVID-19 to where it has progressed to where we can have one and have it safe. But after that, I'm looking to see who's going to step up. I will say I want to start off with TAPS. I think St. Agnes is still strong. I think they're going to be strong again.
Yep.
Of course, Dallas Ursuline, those two are always two of the top programs going together. But I want to see who steps up individually. A lot of top athletes have graduated, so I want to see who's going to take the realm there. And UIL, we won't have Graydon and Gracie Morris. We won't have London Coldbreath.
So now it's Bryn Brown's turn to hold the torch.
Yeah, we'll get to see Bryn Brown. She's going to have her senior year. Judson Greer is going to be a senior. He's going to be off the charts. South Lake Carroll girls and boys won last year in 6A UIL. Right. They both graduated a lot. Not that that really means much, but the Woodlands boys graduated a lot. El Paso Eastwood is going back to 6A. They graduated a lot. Lovejoy graduated a lot. So a lot of different things to look on there. And then I'm excited about the smaller classes as well. Classic battles there. So looking forward to all that. I want Texas cross country to really be at its best this year. So if there is an NXN and Foot Locker, that we can definitely represent there again this year and possibly do better. I think we can possibly have the best female runner nationally and the best male nationally this year. And I mean, that would be such an honor to watch that happen.
Yeah, with Brennan Judson, it'd be hard to find a better pair nationally, like you just said. Well, like you also mentioned, we can only hope that COVID-19 allows us to have a cross-country and track season to where we're back to normalcy. That would be wonderful. We certainly need that. Will Grundy, webmaster of TXMileSplit, we certainly appreciate the half hour you've given us today. I know you've got a busy time of year headed into cross country and making all your plans to head to Montana soon. So like I said, I appreciate your time, and we will catch up with you soon during the season.
Before we go, Stuart, I do want to add.
Yes, sir.
I want to say thanks to you and TTFCA for all that you all have been able to do for the sport. The Meet of Champions, we didn't get to have it this year, like a lot of things, but as people can see, and I think you'll appreciate this, a lot of meets are seeing how vulnerable they are and whether they can make it or not. And I'm definitely looking forward to all the meets bouncing back next year for the high school athletes, and definitely the TTFCA Meet of Champions. I think it's on solid ground right now to be back when it happens. And I think it'll be better than ever next year and the following years with things we learned this year. And I also want to say that if anyone lives in an area or that you have time or you love the sport, whether it's writing, photography, or videography, if you have a desire to get out and contribute with MileSplit, email me, or you can email Stuart and he'll get with me. I definitely want to make sure we do the best in getting coverage for kids, the programs, and the sports here in Texas.
Agree with you 1,000%. We're in this because we love the kids, we love the sport, and in order to help make this grow, it would be nice to have, like you said, a bunch of good high school writers that you've used before, photographers, etc.
Cool. And thank you so much for providing an opportunity to be here and talk about track.
All righty, sir. You have a good afternoon. We will talk with you soon.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
All right. Bye-bye.